There are two filters that can be used to help you screen your use of time. The first is to distinguish between what is urgent and what is not.
Helping your staff and your team under you, that would alleviate the crisis management. Just ask the question that, would everything come to a halt? Would things go wrong if I didn't do this now? If it's lost luggage, yes it would. The guest would be screaming and shouting. If it's a dirty sheet, yes, it has to be changed immediately. And if it isn't, it goes on the important list, and the urgent things get done first and then the important things get done. Your urgent would be someone's working on the lawnmower, they've cut themselves. That needs immediate attention.
The second filter screens out what is important from what is not. Some would say that the real issue is not how to manage time, but how to manage interruptions.
Well, I realize that interruptions sometimes is a way of life, and if one is not able to plan out their time properly, you might find yourselves actually dealing with interruptions, firefighting kind of a thing on a daily basis and never achieving what your goals are. And so what I have done is to create prime time for myself where I do not take in any interruptions, but I'm able to concentrate on what I have to do each day and each week.
Well, the whole question of time management, the essence of it, the important and urgent, just the urgent, just the important, and really the trivial that you need to cut out of your day. Your trivial will be the time that you possibly spend gossiping to another staff member. It'll be your time wasters.
So the first thing you must do is separate what is urgent and important from what is urgent but not important.
Your urgent and important would be something that affects your clients in the service industry, so it would be a lot around your guests, particularly with the service industry. If their luggage is lost, it's urgent and it's important because they come first. They're number one. That's service ethic. Without them, you don't have a job. And that you've got to address first. And secondly, go and change the sheet. Basically, your guests' needs would be your urgent and your important because your industry is service. And if you're not giving that service, they won't come back. And if they don't come back, you don't have a job.
Once you have done what is both urgent and important, it is time to tackle what is important but not urgent. The rest of the urgent things will have to wait, as they are not important.
I always realize that the important things in life hardly ever are urgent things, but they are things you've got to be very deliberate about, very conscientious about. And I think we've got to develop. The first thing I've had to do is to develop my own personal vision. Where do I want to be 5 or 10 years down the line? Where do I want the company to be 5 or 10 years down the line? What are the important things that we've got to do? What are the building blocks towards achieving those goals? And how will I work a plan out to achieve that? And so I think the important things in life are such that they are never urgent. We've got to to tender them. We've got to take care of them. We've got to cultivate them. We've got to plan for them, including even personal things like personal development, probably, enrolling in a program that will be helpful to the growth of the company.
On your daily task sheet, you need to leave the first gap of the day for your urgent things. And then thereafter you need to fit in your important things. So you can't just leave them. They need to be done, but they don't have to be done the first thing in the morning. Well, shifting from crisis management to productive management the focus is on your planning. So you have to have time in your week to plan. For example, Mavis and her team needs time on a Friday for each of them to get together an hour and plan their week ahead. They each plan their own week ahead on a daily basis, leaving a little bit of space for the urgent matters that will arise. The crux is in the planning. So you have to have time in your week for planning, decide specifically, and that's important. And if you do that, your next week is not going to be crisis mode. You'll go according to your timetable, and what you don't do today that is important, you can, and you know you can shift to tomorrow's list.
Well, the key thing really is plan. Because if you operate without a plan in life, if I don't have a plan for what I would want to achieve in the coming year, which I then break down into the coming month and the coming week, it's very possible to imagine that anything urgent that comes or trivial thing that comes is an end in itself. So the first critical thing is that I have to operate within the framework of a plan. There's no specific goals that I would want to achieve. And, and then of course that breaks down into, how do I achieve this goal? What strategies and what activities? And when I define what activities, then I will easily be able to know any activity that doesn't fall within the overall plan. I'm able to identify that as a time waster and deal with it then appropriately.
This gives rise to a useful grid, which makes it easy for you to sort out priorities, where to allocate your time resources first. Urgent and important always comes first. This is crisis management. But what is important but not urgent second? This is prime time. Interruptions are inevitable. Plan these into your schedule. For example, you might carry along a book or report to read when you go for an appointment, so that if you get stuck in a waiting room, you can redeem the time. This is a practical way to turn a time waster, like a delayed appointment, into a time saver. Things that are neither important nor urgent are trivial.